Hi there, welcome to Ethereum Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So last week we talked about Ethereum, whether it's going to drop back, and indeed this week it's showing us a little red candle. It's not too bad. But what's next then, right? So that's why in the title I put in, either it rebound or it's going to drop big. Why? Let's find out now. Here in the weekly chart, that's the little red candle I mentioned in the beginning. What's happening now, why I'm saying that in the title, is because it has reached the bottom edge of this upward channel box. So you see this channel box started basically sometime in end of March this year. And then over the past 6 months, the price has been trading within this zone, this channel box. As of now, it is at the bottom of the box. So if it rebound, it can exhibit behavior much like what happened back in late June and also early August. And this month, beginning like just last week, it tried to rebound, but it's like staying low near the bottom edge. It's not that it hasn't happened. Basically here, back in late June, all the way into the first week of July before the price climbs to the center line of the box, of the channel. If you don't see where the center line is, it's basically right over there. If I turn it to a line chart, it will be clearer. So you see these peaks over there, they kind of peak at this center line. So the center line doesn't have to be a line where it exactly cuts the channel into half. It just need to be somewhere most frequent candle activities or price activities happen. So you see these bunch of candles all lining up along this line, much like these over here, right? So that's how we're going to look at channel boxes besides the ceiling and the bottom. There's a center line right over there. So the trading would happen in a way, either it bounces off between the two lines, the ceiling and the bottom. That's what it has been behaving in the first half of this box. And the second half, it only bounces between the center line and the bottom. So that's how the price actions can behave. Okay, enough with the channel. Let's go back to Wyckoff. So that should be the main dish. Again, two separate scenarios for Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin. So the hypothesis is, if this was the buying climax back in July, what we have gone through just 3 weeks ago, late August, was the upthrust. And eventually now we are kind of in the second test period. The yellow scenario treats this period during mid-July to early August was the preliminary supply period, the PSY period. I'm trying to move the mic closer because I have forgotten to bring it closer. Hope the Bitcoin session wasn't too bad. So then buying climax happened just last month. That's the yellow scenario. And they're the same, basically a second test right now, whether it's the blue or the yellow scenario. And I think this really is an automatic reaction, no matter whether it's yellow or blue scenario. Let's keep this picture here for now. And when I say it either rebound or drop big, is because if it rebound or stay above this bottom edge of the channel box, that means it's still within an upward trend. So let me extend this further just to keep the trend going. That's the key point over here. If it stays within the box, it can continue this, you can say, call it a bull run, and testing new all-time high for Ethereum. However, it can well not be the case because we know it's either behind the it's the second test after the buying climax or the upthrust. So the likelihood of it coming down to test this purple key level of like 3940 is getting higher and higher. So the coming 2 weeks are pretty critical. If we turn on the Bollinger Band curve and squeeze, currently there's no squeeze happening after this, let's say the price jumped back in late June. So if it trade horizontal, it's still falling outside of the channel, and that will build up a squeeze that triggers another price swing. So let's keep that in mind because we're still early, there's no squeeze going on. And don't forget, I have drawn this white dashed line last time. So basically I'm saying this, the current price levels we're at, is way above these 3 peaks over there. So this forms another support line, kind of solid, but compared to the key levels, it may not be as strong as these rainbow colors. So there will be a double support right there. One is the bottom edge of the upward channel box, and the other is this white dashed line. So again, if we talk about scenarios, there can be 3 that happens. One, if it really falls outside, it's going to bounce along this line if there are very good news coming out, or like good news being sold to various sources, then people may FOMO in and trigger another leg of upward momentum. That's outside this upward channel box. It will develop a new channel box and go up. And if it doesn't, if there's no good news, people start to panic, and the price will start to come down and test these key levels one after the other. So that's why the sign of weakness is right there. We haven't seen the sign of weakness yet in terms of Wyckoff stages. So the current distribution cycle, if it turns out really is going to come down to the sign of weakness, which I haven't put in a percentage, this is getting higher and higher. So irrespective of whether it's a blue or the yellow scenario, I would say this is over half the chance. So as of now, I say it's 60%. So it's the same for the yellow and the blue. I'm just going to put one. And it's not even a second test, so it's a question whether it's going to go out to show us if it's upthrust the blue scenario, then it's going to go for an upthrust of the distribution. And if it's yellow, then that will be an upthrust. And for days, that's going to be just 40%. So that, I hope that's clear enough that the chance of getting towards here is, I'd say, lower than heading there to show us a sign of weakness. Not that it's game over yet. It can come down to show a sign of weakness and then eventually go back to show us the upthrust of the distribution. Like I said, it can develop a new upward channel, and these guys will be somewhere sitting here waiting for the price to come to that level. So that's another scenario that it can happen. So it doesn't have to go along this current channel. It can come down and go back up again. So that's the big picture for Ethereum. We'll go into the daily in a minute. I'm just trying to see whether there's a trend over here. So it may be a little bit early to tell you this, but it can be some form of descending triangle developing over here. So however, the prerequisite is for it to trade outside of the upward channel and sideways, basically trading in narrower and narrower range up till the point when we get closer to November. Then the breakout will happen. I'll delete this for now because it's really early stage. I just want to let you know what I'm seeing now. It's not going to happen immediately. More immediate term I already covered. So let's get to the daily. Here, this is what I consider a squeeze is happening. So according to the indicator, that's only this narrow bar range or period, that particular day has a squeeze. for me, I don't interpret it that way. What happened here, starting September 11th, a squeeze has already started. Actually, if you look at the purple lines, you can consider it happening back in late August, and we have been trading within this very narrow range for quite a while now. So if I consider this point where the purple started getting the orange as the beginning, we have already entered this squeeze zone for 25 days. That's quite a build up already. Look at these squeezes. It is basically bringing the price to a very different level. So it can be going up or it can be going down. The squeeze doesn't tell us the direction. So here the squeeze lasted for roughly 41 days. So if we are really going through something similar, we are not there yet. There's still like 16 days for that to happen. And like I said, when we get closer to November, maybe that's the time it's going to happen. But daily is different from weekly. So weekly is in the build up. Like it's not having a squeeze at the moment. It's going to take time for the weekly to show that. But in the daily, if it's swing, it's not going to be as crazy as when the squeeze releases its force in the daily, in the weekly chart. Sorry, yeah. So in the daily, it can still swing, but it's at a milder level. Let's put it this way. So let me turn this off. We already checked the squeeze is going on. Another thing is, you see this upwards, right? But it's kind of flattening out right now. So when I explained in Bitcoin chart, I also pointed this out. This channel box, when there are a lot of people trying to get in, the peaks should hit the ceiling of the box. This time it doesn't. It's trading on the weaker side of the box, so it's trading at the lower half of the box. That's a key thing over here. So if it really rebound, if the price really rebound, it better try to hit this line over here to tell people that there's still strong buy that's going on. But if we look at these volume bars over here, I'll say that the selling period, there's probably a lot of change of hands. Reason being this long candlestick over here that went up. You see the volume, right? So it's not like overly high compared to these red bars, but the red candlesticks isn't that long. Like even if you include the wick, it's still shorter than the one over here. So if it's let me put it this way, if it's really trading at a crazy range, like a lot of people selling, it should have pushed the body way longer. So the closing price should be lower. That's what I'm trying to say. This is telling us that a lot of people are changing hands. So some people are offloading their stock, their Ethereum, to someone that's willing to get them. So I hope it's not the small fishes getting all the stocks from the whales, while the whales are trying to basically reap their profits at this late stage of a distribution cycle. Just saying it, hope it's not. If it is, then we're getting very close to the drop from this potentially an LPSY. So this, it's probably 60% chance now. This side, it's not even an LPSY. If it really stays above, it's going to give us another test. So I drop a test right there. Actually, let's swap the place. This looks like a test that happened already. Whether you call it a second test or not, it doesn't matter. It's also a test. So it's this one over here. This little peak, you didn't notice if we just look at the candlestick. It's probably difficult to spot, but this little bulge over here may well be an LPSY already. So let me adjust them to make them closer. Now is the critical moment. You see we're getting into this angle. So either the price goes and break this yellow dashed line, that intermediate resistance at around $4,500, or it's going to fall outside of this channel. And this is a daily chart, right? So tomorrow, 21st, 22nd, there's only a little bit more than 2 days left for this to eventually show us where it is heading to. So it's not that long of a wait. By the end of the passing Sunday or even earlier, this would have happened. So finger crossed. Hopefully it isn't going that deep straight down. While I put in like a 60% chance for it to go and show us a sign of weakness. That's how I read the chart. And if it really comes back up for another test, that's where I'm going to put the other percentage, that's 40%. It can still trade sideways before it comes down. So why I'm saying this, let me enlarge this again. So I talk about like falling outside, right? And also going up, breaking this yellow dashed line. So the next dashed line over here, the test failed. Basically got rejected even before reaching this line. That's the same level as the upthrust of the distribution over here. This here, there's almost 4,800 level. Let me adjust this line. We've seen this triangle. This one right there. That's pointing to October 3rd. So after this happening in 2 days time, if the price really climbs back up and trade within this zone once again, by the end of this month or the first 3 days of October, it will trigger another decision point where the whales has to show us, are they going to push the price further up? If not, they'll just let the small fish drop. So that's when that's going to happen. Hopefully it's going to make a pause at 3,200 and then make a bounce. That's another LPSY over there then, and eventually letting people trade a few more times before it actually gets back to an accumulation cycle. So that last time it happened, it was back in March this year already. It's way within the long-term playground zone. So a lot of people said, no, it wouldn't get back to that point when we were at the climax back in December last year. But see what happened. It happened in April, May this year. A lot of news has already come up. People are already expecting interest rates to drop. Those news has been digested. It's not like the news is only coming out now, and we were still at that price level. So don't get caught off guard without setting a stop loss, even if you're very bullish about Ethereum. So in summary, the upward chance is slimmer than the downward because we're expecting a sign of weakness to show up after the upthrust or second test, or even buying climax and second test. It doesn't matter. After this pattern, after second test, it's very natural for the price to come down to show us a sign of weakness. And that's pretty much it for Ethereum. Thanks for joining me. I'm moving to the next session.